Hello and welcome back to the Marketing Chat Room. I'm Kayla here today with Sneha. I'm going to mess your name up. I'm going to let you say it yourself, actually.
Lakkaraju.
Thank you. Sneha Lakkaraju. I knew I could do it, but it wasn't there. She is newly and excitedly the head of marketing at Two Trees PPC. She is also founder of Sandbox Consulting. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah.
After 4 times of rescheduling.
The holidays got in our way. Many things got in our way,
Yeah.
but we finally made it. So super excited to have this chat. We are now colleagues, and we've partnered together in several different capacities over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Super excited to be able to continue working together. It was so much fun at Pandia Health, so it's great to be under the same roof now.
It is, yeah literally. Cool. So I'm going to kick us off by asking you my 2 favorite questions. The first one is, what is one of your all-time favorite ad campaigns?
Ooh, okay. I'm a little bit of like a history nerd, and in terms of like when we're taking a look at the history of advertising, I still go back to the official launch of the iPod and that campaign and the advertising campaign. It's so elegant the way they chose to do it, because all they wanted to do was showcase a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And there's no value props, there's nothing else, it's just visuals, and it brings you to like the core of marketing, which is it makes you feel something, and when you watch that ad, it looked fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the core of how successful they were, is they just exuded fun and vibrance, and also making it personal, because each person is dancing alone. Mm-hmm. You can have the fun without having to hear it on a speaker in a room full of people.
Yeah, totally. Wasn't that the one with the gorillas song in
Yes,
the background?
yeah.
I loved that ad too. I remember, I have a distinct memory of watching that in my childhood home on the big boxy TV, and it was so cool. And I was like, what is that song? And back in the day, it was hard to find a song when you heard it and you didn't know the name of it. Yeah. I remember searching the lyrics on what was that website that you'd always look for lyrics on?
I think it was literally lyrics.com.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I was I need to download this song.
Yeah, look how far we've come. You now can hum to your phone and it'll tell you what it is, even when you're tone deaf.
Yeah. Well,
myself.
Me too. Myself included. That's hilarious. That's a really good example, though, of a classic ad. Obviously timeless. What was that, over 20 years ago now? Which is horrifying, but
if you think about the lasting impact that it's had, it's that sort of creative is still mimicked to this day, where you have a bright single color that rotates, and then you have a silhouette of some kind. Several brands have done it. It's templatized on all of the stock image sites. Yep. It was definitely iconic and a huge shift, and also one of the first ads that just didn't focused on people without showing faces, mm-hmm. which is by itself and its own sort of revolution within the ad space.
Yeah, for sure. I love that one. Iconic. And then my next favorite question is, if you could work for any brand, join the marketing team for any brand in the world, which would it be and why?
Okay. I've got 2.
Okay.
First, easy, Duolingo, because I would love to their whole brand image and the way they structured, the way they communicate is so much fun.
It's so fun.
And I would love to write copy that's sassy all the time.
Uh-huh.
It seems amazing. And what the beauty of that is they do that and it's still super data driven. I've met a few people on the team, and it's still a very data driven, data focused team that has a lot of fun doing it. So would love that. On the flip side, on a personal level, would love to work for Live Tinted. Mm-hmm. Started out at the owner of the company, Deepika, was a YouTube influencer, and one of the first Indian YouTube influencers who were really gaining popularity, and she focused on beauty and makeup and kept continuously hitting barriers to find things that show up on brown skin. She created her own line. Now you'll find her in Sephora, in Ulta, in Target. And the brand is really focused on just highlighting or like providing pathways for women of color. And it's really, really sweet seeing her pay homage to her family back home and the way she names all the products. And then highlighting not just the Indian community, but the African American community, the Hispanic community, by making sure there are shades across for everyone, essentially. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I love that. Very cool. Do you use their products?
I do.
Well, your makeup always looks amazing, so thanks. Shout out to the brand. Okay, so what is today? It is January 17th, 2025, and we are in the midst of a crisis.
Sound the alarm!
Very important crisis. I personally feel very victimized by this crisis. It's the TikTok ban, and we're on a roller coaster as a nation right now. Yes. Those of us who are TikTok users can probably all relate.
Because this is the most important issue for our country right now.
There are
Whether
so
or
many
not
things.
I can scroll in the morning.
There are so many more important things going on. But in the world of marketing, TikTok is very pressing at the moment for obvious reasons.
Yes. So, I mean, it's gone back and forth quite a bit, but the current state at the time we are filming right now, because things are changing quite a bit, the Supreme Court has ruled that it is legal to uphold the TikTok ban, which essentially means they're not officially banning it. It's not 1,000% banned, but if Congress were to issue the ban and it get passed, it is legal in order to do so. They're deeming that it's not actually an infringement on our right to free speech, because the platform in which we speak doesn't really matter in that situation.
I see the point, but
yeah,
I guess I don't get to make that decision. I'm going to miss TikTok. I think it kind of was a part of a big cultural shift in the United States, especially during COVID, where things just kind of went toward more video content. Like, obviously, its roots were like kids and teenagers were doing silly dances on the internet.
Yeah.
But then it evolved into something that was so much more than that. So I will be sad to see it go if that's what ends up happening.
Yeah. And I feel like during like the full lockdown, it mimicked a little bit of human interaction, because people who weren't comfortable on camera jumped on camera to post TikToks. And the algorithm is so sophisticated that you got to see content from people who you would probably be friends with in real life, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it'll definitely, for sure, be missed. And I'm really curious as to the impact it'll have on the music industry, too, since now TikTok sounds count as streams.
Yeah.
What's going to happen there? It's a super big launch tactic.
That'll be interesting as well. Yeah, it has been a big connection, like a big platform for connection across a wide variety of groups of people. And I think music's been a huge one. Advertising, obviously, they developed TikTok Shop. It's been really impactful for some of our clients, even some that like you might be surprised that they had like a really positive, impactful ad campaign run through TikTok. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where people go from here.
For sure. Where are you going to go?
I am really inclined to go to YouTube Shorts. Maybe it's just because I now have this like podcast thing that I'm doing, and I've been posting it on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, YouTube is a great channel for a lot of reasons, and I think my main reason why I say YouTube instead of something else is because TikTok, I think, is an amazing search engine, and YouTube obviously is a good search engine as well. It's run by Google, but that search feature for me on TikTok was great because, back to makeup, maybe makeup will be a theme of this episode. Nice. If you're looking for a new makeup, you want to see it on someone that has skin similar to yours in tone, in skin type, and like it's just so much easier to make a decision on if you're going to order makeup or even like go to a store before you go, kind of know what brand you're looking for.
Yeah.
Hear stories from people who are like, oh, I have super oily skin and this makeup works for me. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should try that too. You don't get that through like paid ads. You don't get that through Instagram. At least I don't. Maybe some people are better at searching through Meta for products, but just that experience of hearing an actual user's journey with the product and showing the product on themselves, that search capability has been really important to me.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I use the search a lot on TikTok to find like very obscure things that I'm looking for, and TikTok never disappoints. Even with my poorly written out search term, I will find what I'm looking for, which is great.
Yeah.
I kind of differ though. I think I'll probably stay between Instagram and Reddit.
Okay.
Reddit has a lot of that search capability, and also like there are a lot of video format. It's getting more video oriented as the years go on. But also like I know where my communities are in Reddit. If I know how to find what I'm looking for, where I'm going to get a laugh and where I'm going to learn something. And then Instagram, like I already have everything set up. YouTube, I mostly interact with on a TV.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about using shorts for me is like I don't really use it on my phone ever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get the satisfaction of scrolling up, and as weird as that sounds. Because of that, I may not use it on my phone like that at all. I like viewing the YouTube videos on a larger screen. And for the shorts themselves, right now, the way shorts are used are mostly promotional videos for a longer format YouTube video, which I don't see myself watching a lot more of different YouTubers. I feel like that's more of a commitment.
Yeah.
So I'll probably stay where I'm at.
Yeah, that makes sense. You made me think of two things about TikTok that I will miss: content and community, or not content, comments and community. Mm-hmm. Like if you're watching YouTube Shorts on your TV, you're probably not going to see the comments, which comments are the funniest part about TikTok in my opinion. Like usually there could be a hilarious video, but the comments are even funnier.
Yeah.
So there's been a little bit of carryover over the years to Meta and like Instagram Reels where people will do the funny comments, but I don't know, there's something about TikTok where, and I think it relates back to actually my point about community, because I don't know about you guys, but on TikTok, I follow so many people that I do not know. And I think a lot of people feel emboldened on TikTok to, hopefully not in like a trolly kind of way, but to just write whatever you think, like write a comment on this random person's video, like make a funny comment, because like your mom's not gonna see it, your uncle's not gonna see it, like the people you went to high school with are probably not gonna see it. But if you're doing that same thing on Facebook or Instagram, like for me, that's where my people are. And like I don't wanna always be like a silly commenter on those platforms where people I know are spending a lot of time and are gonna see it.
Yeah, and for those of you on the internet who are unhinged no matter what, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you, but I could never.
Could never be me, but props.
Yeah. From an advertising perspective, though, this is such a big loss. I mean, when TikTok's ad platform first came out, it was super duper buggy. I was incredibly excited to be one of the first advertisers to be invited to the beta program.
Yeah.
And, like, figuring out how to get through the targeting was a little bit weird. They had a few extra steps that are no longer in the ad platform. The division of where you go to, like, launch your campaign versus do your billing versus access, which granted it's still better than Meta's, but it was still a lot, but it grew so fast, in some of the best CPMs on the market, really high conversion rates. And one of the best parts I feel like about advertising on TikTok is if you got the creative right, you were successful. Mm-hmm. It really boiled things down to that. You did not necessarily need to test on so many levels. You can go broad audience, really strong creative, and put no targeting in there, and you'd still see a pretty decent ROAS in return.
Yeah.
And now that's gone. Well, potentially.
Yes. So hopefully not RIP to TikTok, but if that ends up being the case, I will never forget my days on TikTok. And I should be grateful if it gets deleted because my archive, nobody needs to see that.
Honestly, same.
It's really cringy. It's the cringiest thing anyone's ever seen, especially me. I was a teacher when the lockdown happened, and I went on TikTok. My first day on TikTok was like one of the first days of the lockdown. And so I like learned how to use TikTok. I learned how to do all the little dances, and then I started making like teacher content on there. There are a couple things I should go and like pull and download for like memory's sake, but the majority of it, like, I don't want to see it, you don't want to see it, nobody wants to see that.
Yeah. Around the same time, my now husband and I broke up. So I, like, one of my things was like, you know what, I'm gonna like at least not get back out there dating, but like I'm gonna put myself out there on the internet. I'm gonna be cool now. I'm gonna try all these new things. And I did so many things, like recorded so many videos for TikTok that just don't fit my personality. Like if I watch it back, I'm like, you could visibly see it in my face that I'm deeply uncomfortable with what I'm doing. So those can just like live and die on TikTok. That's fine. They can, yeah. But the rest of my archive is like failed attempts at transitions. That's just something that never came to me.
Oh, me neither. I still don't understand. Like, and I remember trying one a couple of times before I gave up on the concept of doing a transition well completely. And I was like, but now it's been like an hour since I started trying to do this, and the lighting's different. Like people are going to know now.
I've lost all plausible deniability. They know that this is a transition. You know what it is too? It's one of the illnesses of all of us at Two Trees. It's the perfectionism in us when we want to just like, it can't go out there unless it's absolutely perfect. Yeah. And then 4 hours will have passed.
That is something that we could work on collectively, but it is a good thing for our clients because our clients truly only get the best.
Yes. They will, nothing will ever go live without being perfect. Yeah. That is a guarantee.
Yeah, the Two Trees guarantee. Yes. All right, so let's pivot a little bit from TikTok. It's not a full pivot, it's just a slight pivot. We'll turn a corner and talk a little bit about influencer marketing. Yeah. So that's actually how you and I met. You were a client of mine in our former lifetimes at different companies. And my company sourced the influencers and planned all the creative surrounding the influencer marketing campaign alongside you and in your healthcare role. So let's chat a little bit about influencer marketing, how you've seen it be impactful, and maybe how we think it'll evolve over the course of this year and the next few years.
Oh, yeah. I will start by saying, while I've always appreciated influencer before putting the dollars with DMG, the state of the company where I was at, I was pretty much adamantly against it. Just not having attribution when you put the dollars out sounded like a horrible idea. I was like, yeah, look, at the end of the day, the KPI that I was judged on was cost per acquisition. If we invest these dollars and we know we're not necessarily going to see the sale happening, it just equals an increase in cost per acquisition. But then through our lovely conversations and the super wonderful team that we worked with, it became kind of clear how we could find a path to not inflating it that much and using it kind of as a bridge between the top of funnel and bottom of funnel. So the plan we came up with was we pick out some micro influencers to manage our budget that are very, very passionate. And what we focused on not so much was following, but engagement. And then in order to get those insights, instead of just having them post, we were able to use their creatives in our ads. And that way we can actually attribute how many sales came in, at least from the ads.
Yeah.
And then internally, I actually don't know if I shared this with you guys. Internally, we segmented audiences in Instagram and in TikTok so we could see lift on the days that the influencers posted, and we purposefully would never post when we knew the influencers were about to.
Yeah.
So we could see if the volume of page visits on those days would increase, which really was the case. So we saw a brand lift, our cost per acquisition looked good. There were some scenarios with certain influencers where nothing would change at all, but the passion that the influencers that the team picked out had really were huge selling points for the company. And I remember going, like, internally, we were like, oh, should we just take this video and put it at the beginning of our sign up? Like, it was content that we never would have thought of creating ourselves. Yeah. We even stole taglines that they came up with us. If anything, it was definitely worth the investment just for the creative ideation that happened with the influencers. A lot of times, I say, it's always good to have at least one consultant or one person outside of your team to take their understanding of your business and throw it right back at you. Because you'll think of some of the more simple ways to discuss your brand.
Yeah.
The clearest cut ways. But then it's important that you're working with a really good team sourcing your influencers, because most scenarios don't go like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be difficult to find a good brand fit, or even someone that's more of like a brand ambassador who ends up working with your brand more long term and then does kind of become a consultant in that content creation process, because you're both getting the feedback on both sides of like, this is what resonates with our brand and this is what resonates with like me as someone who is actually in your target audience.
Yeah. The best influencer is someone who would actually use your product. The best scenario is they use your product before they make their video. And at the very minimum, their values as a creator should align with your company values, because that really does show within their audience, and the audience they're speaking to are likely people who are just like the influencer themselves, just a little less willing to get on a camera.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you said it perfectly. And I'm a really big proponent of micro influencers for that engagement reason, because there are always ways that we can take content. Even if we're talking about someone that has like 2,000 followers on Instagram, maybe, but they're really passionate and their audience is super engaged. Everybody follows this influencer because they talk about topic A, right? So their audience is really interested in what it is they're talking about, and their audience is engaging with the content. We can take that and find more people that are like their audience and run that to them through paid means, and that is a really great way to make your influencer marketing campaigns work harder for you.
Yeah.
Because you're able to just kind of copy and paste everything that you're getting from the influencer into a much larger footprint of an audience. And I love seeing on both ends. I love seeing the audience grow for the brand, and I love seeing when the influencers' audiences start to grow and extend as well, because they're getting more visibility, the brand's growing, and it's just the most beautiful partnership when that happens.
Yeah, especially when you get that commitment from them. If a creator really likes your brand, they'll put the effort in and negotiate with you and make it work. If it's something where they're just kind of, I need the sponsorship, but we'll just take it, you're not necessarily going to get the most value out of it, because they're not going to be excited talking about the brand either. So if there were any pieces of advice I would give to a company out there looking for influencer marketing, definitely one, vet them on their interest too. Treat it kind of like a job interview to some level. If your visions don't align, the end product isn't going to be there. Work with them to find a way to track the impact for sure, whether that be an affiliate link, a link with a UTM, a specific landing page to go to. You can't call something successful if you don't have data to measure it. And then lastly, I would say give the agencies a shot. It is really, really hard to source influencers and do the research and find people, especially the more popular influencers. You'll wind up in an inbox. Having somebody who has an existing relationship with some of these creators will speed the process along, and also save you hours. Yeah. And I mean that, hours.
Yeah. It will, for sure. It will. I think those are all great tips, and I would say if you're working with an agency, they'll probably hopefully do this for you. Yes. I know we do. But if you're working on your own on influencer marketing, I would say pull as many as you can afford, really, influencers for your first couple of months. Let's say it's at least 5 influencers that you're going to have, you vet them first, but you're going to have them create content for your brand, and then track that content, see what performs the best, and see which ones end up really resonating with your audiences the most, and then try to keep that influencer or that creator. Maybe there's 1, maybe there's 2, maybe there's 3, and pull them into the next round. The other ones, obviously you're going to pay them for what they did, but thank you. And then we're going to source more that resonate, and maybe they have a little bit of a different angle, but we think it'll reach, either the same audience if you have a really niche target audience, or a different segment of your target audience that relates better to person A than person B. So I would just do a lot of testing. Like you said, data is super important with everything we do in marketing, but even with influencer marketing.
Yeah. You know what? You just reminded me too. Take a look at posting frequency when you're looking at influencers. Engagement and followers are the obvious metrics. But if you're working with an influencer who posts every 5 days, every single week, and has consistent engagement on each, that's so many placements that they have. And each one kind of loses its value the more frequent they post. But if they're kind of in the ballpark of 3 a week, or one to 3 a week, each post there and with an engaged audience is going to go that much further, because it's in demand. That's something that their followers are looking forward to, especially for YouTubers. YouTubers, if they post consistently in a wider space, and it is in fact consistent, you'll probably see a higher return from that influencer campaign than one where they're posting 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 a week, and you're trying to just stand out within a crowd of other posts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And then one more point on influencer marketing. I think that people largely have a misconception about influencer marketing. We're working right now with a wine brand. That makes a lot of sense. Everyone's like, yes, influencer marketing, wine makes sense. Influencer marketing, makeup makes sense. But I think that influencer marketing can apply to a much wider variety of brands. You, for example, worked in healthcare. We were advertising for people to sign up for birth control prescriptions, right?
Yeah.
That isn't a typical use case that I think comes to mind for most people when we think about influencer marketing.
Yeah. I mean, think of all D2C areas, definitely an opportunity. On the B2B side, it just kind of depends on your product offering, mm-hmm. right? Software as a service is a really great example of a perfect fit for influencer. I started out as a graphic designer. I would watch YouTubers and different videos online trying to find hacks and ways to get through the different Adobe tools. And the influencers that provide those tutorials would often recommend other products that are useful for graphic designer. There we go, B2B, software as a service. Really, really common, Zapier is everywhere. I get Zapier on TikTok. I get Zapier on YouTube. I get Zapier in Gmail. Shout out Zapier for such a robust marketing strategy. But they're B2B software as a service. I mean, technically you could use it as an individual, but it's a powerful platform. So don't completely cut it out from the realm, especially if you are in a space where brand share is usually what makes the decision. If there's a level of comfort that your buyer needs and to know that you're a certain size before they commit on the like high end mid-market enterprise levels, that's a great way to get a lot of brand share and people talking about you without necessarily investing in a lot of ad creative and like YouTube display ads and things of that sort. It's a clearer cut path.
Yeah, and it feels less like you're being advertised too often. Like it feels like, oh, this is just my friend that I like. This is my internet friend that's telling me, oh, you should try this thing, and then I'm like, maybe I should try that thing, rather than like I'm seeing an ad that's like, hello, this is why you should try this thing, and I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah, and there's nothing better than an influence. Like try your best to get them to use the product.
Yeah.
I have a personal rule too. Will I get influenced or not? It's whether or not I can tell if they actually use the product enough. And I'm like, you know what? All right, I'll check it out. If you genuinely didn't do this for the bag and did this because you like it, I'll consider it. But it's very, very obvious when an influencer just is taking the contract and moving on.
It is, and you can totally tell when like a brand like tried too hard to get an influencer, and it's like more of a celebrity or a huge influencer, and you're like, it's just not believable. There's 0% chance that this person has ever actually gone to a store and purchased this product.
The Kardashians. Yeah. anything. Just like if it's endorsed by the Kardashians, I know they were paid for.
Yeah. they definitely were. And if it wasn't a brand they invented, then it wasn't their idea.
Yes. I mean, we're not sure if those are their ideas either, but their name is on it.
Good point. Yeah. Awesome. Well, the probably last topic, who knows where it'll take us? Who knows? That I want to touch on today is a little bit back to your background and your roots in tech and how you have worked to combine marketing and tech and how you still do that in your daily roles. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Awesome. So, when we look at the modern marketing ecosystem, a lot of the same core principles on how to be a good marketer still exist. We want to make sure we have the right placement, the right pricing, we're reading the demand of the market, we're writing copy that speaks to people's pain points and value props, watching people move through the sales cycle. But without the right tech infrastructure, we're losing opportunity. I don't necessarily want to say that without having the tech, you won't be successful. That's not true. You can, in theory, operate without the analytics tech, the AI tech, but you're missing a key part of the ecosystem that basically gives you signals as to where to go. When I started with Pandia Health, and actually there are several clients before that there were a lot of things that went on, but this is the best example. The core problem that we had as a team was our data was deeply unreliable. We thought we were doing all the right things, following all the best practices. We were A/B testing. We were rotating out creative as often as we possibly could. We were testing out different value prompts, offering different discounts, different deals, reaching out to influencers, robust email marketing campaigns. But it just like wasn't sticking. Mm-hmm. And the data we were looking at didn't match the money in the bank. And that is a very familiar feeling, especially at tech startups and any sort of startup, is, okay, I feel like I'm doing everything right, but I don't feel it in the bank yet. After 1 month, okay, it could be an attribution thing. After 2 months, it's like, after 3 months, that's a real problem. Mm-hmm. Like if it still hasn't hit the bank and you just unleashed a marketing ecosystem. So we went back. We redid all of the analytics along with the tech team. We pulled in developers to put in some custom metrics in there for our internal systems to be able to say, hey, this is how many people started the sign up. This is how many people got halfway through the sign up. This is how many people actually finished. So we could see internally, and because we needed developers too, because HIPAA compliance, we can't just use any old tool. The second we got that data, we were able to make 2 or 3 optimizations. We changed the wording on one page in the sign up flow so it sounded less technical and more like a normal person.
Okay.
We swapped out our hero image on our homepage from a girl who, to this day, her smile haunts me because she goes,
I think I know who you're talking about.
you signed up during that era.
I think I remember her.
Yeah, it was like her. To a mailer with the product itself, a mailer with the birth control packet and some like place cards on it. And then with those two and tying our emails a little bit closer together to the point where they, right after they drop out of the flow, instead of extending it for 3 months, shortening it to about 1 month, we tripled our acquisition per month without touching our spend.
Nice.
And then we were able to scale. And that is just one of the best testimonies I can possibly give about having the right tech stack. And then we implemented a variety of A/B testing tools that let us get even more insights. We were able to make adjustments to our Klaviyo instance, so we were able to be more personalized and stop sending people stuff they didn't care about. And it made all the difference in the world for the marketing team, and we were able to scale and grow. And for most of the clients that we work with at Two Trees and that I've worked with at Sandbox, often it's if we add one layer of tech, we get enough insights to be able to really like open the tap.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times you're working towards something so heavily and it doesn't really make sense to you as a business owner or as a marketer, really, why this is not working. You're following all the best practices. If you have an insights tool, if you have a customer behavior tool, if you have a heat map for your website, a chatbot that tracks people's intent, a GA4 instance that actually is set up correctly and wasn't by default when UA was retired.
Rare. So rare.
You will be able to figure out where the bottleneck is, because 9 times out of 10, there is a bottleneck. It's just not what you think it is. It's like a good rule of thumb for even for our prospects that we work with at Two Trees. They will tell us where they think the improvement needs to be. The improvement is right above that.
Yeah.
Usually. It's not the platform they're worried about. It's the platform that feeds that one. And you won't be able to get those insights without the right data, and the tech provides that. And the tech also has so much to do with your customer's experience. Nowadays, people expect a solid website. People expect the follow-up emails. People expect personalization. So if you don't have that within your ecosystem, you now have lost that customer to another brand. And we live in a fantastic time that the barrier to entry to most tech is so low. It is so low. It used to be you'd pay a couple $1,000s a month to be able to get all those sorts of things. Pretty much every tool I just named, except for VWO, because that's a little bit expensive, you could add to your tech stack with a couple, maybe like $200, $300.
Yeah.
Klaviyo gets a little bit expensive if you have a huge customer list, but there are plenty of people who know how to manage it in a way where you can keep your costs down.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the tech side. I could probably yap on this for days, but it is one of the best ways to connect the dots between platforms and clean up attribution, especially for folks who are advertising on Meta and on Google at the same time, trying to find the middle ground between the way those two report on their data is traumatic.
Uh-huh.
There's no other way to put that. It's just straight up traumatic.
Yeah.
But now there are tools available, and Meta integrates with GA4, and there's ways and pathways. Just take the time to understand the tech a little bit. And if you are working with an agency or a consultant, or you're trying to bring someone on internally to handle that part of your overall ecosystem, just start by mapping out what it is you want the customer experience to be, or what you understand they're going through. Mm-hmm. Give them the time to go test everything out themselves, and likely they'll come up with a good plan that meets your budget and outlines what the best tools for you might be. Because there is such a thing as overkill.
Yeah.
And there is such a thing as too much tech.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally important to have someone who's able to zoom out a little bit, right? Yeah. Like, whether it's a consultant or an agency, like you said, it's you, and even if you have a huge internal marketing team, like, that's what you're looking at every day. You're not going to see the, like, red flags necessarily, and those bottlenecks that lie in the flow or in the process, because that's just the way things are to you, right? Like, that's what you're used to. So I really think it's important to have people like us. There's tons of us in the universe that you can reach out to, who can help you kind of identify those and work through and just test things in a little bit of a different light.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of my favorite exercises, we do this at Sandbox, we kind of do it at Two Trees too, is a customer journey mapping exercise, where first we'll send a secret shopper for whatever reason. We're going to come and we're going to record ourselves going through a checkout process. And even if you're a brick and mortar business, or you do business in person in some type of way, we'll still start the journey on your website. How do we exactly get to know the business, find the location, things like that. All from finding your business within your category, to learning about you on the website, to signing up, making a purchase, and then everything that comes right afterwards. I mean, it's a little bit of a bummer that we have to pay for the thing right away, but but it's important that we do that so we get what happens, because it is true that every single part of the customer journey is technically marketing.
Yeah.
Every little bit that happens there is a part of marketing, and we'll be able, once we map that journey and get a good idea of what is actually happening and where people are dropping off, then it's, where is the bottleneck? Where are they getting stuck? How can we improve that? Sometimes it's messaging, sometimes it's not. But by mapping it out and putting it visually in front of a client or in front of a business owner, you'll be able to see the representation of, hey, I'm losing money here.
Yeah.
I'm losing their intent here, or I'm turning people off here. And then a lot of times it comes down, you could have everything really, really optimized, but you're losing out on pricing. That's just something that the business owner has to decide what to do with that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it can be a complicated ecosystem for sure.
Yes. But we can make sense of it with charts.
Yes.
And dashboards.
And spreadsheets. Yeah, dashboards for sure.
Yeah, dashboards are my therapy. I sound so... If 14-year-old me heard that, she would be so upset right now. I thought you were going to be a pop star. I make dashboards for a living, and I love it.
That is awesome.
Well, how has it been for you now that I'm in the office?
It's been amazing. I do. I'm on the hot seat. No, I really enjoy working with you, and Sneha and I have had the chance just in the past couple of weeks to put together some proposals and forecasts for potential new clients that are coming on to Two Trees that we are really excited about.
For sure.
And it's been really fun to just go through that process with you and to talk to them together, because I come more from the strategy and a little bit of like creative angle, and then you come from the really data-driven angle. and we can kind of marry those two things together, which is, what most clients want and need during their decision-making process. And I really enjoyed working with you on that.
Yeah, same here. It's definitely a lot of fun. You really meant it, where sometimes the clients that come in are a little bit odd and out of the box, but it's really, it's wonderful being able to strategize on clients that are in unique and niche spaces.
Yeah.
And it's really awesome working with a team that has the experience to be able to help them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of organizations and marketing shops just can't deal with a niche. It's very cool that our niche is niche.
Yeah, it really is. That's a good tagline, because we work in a couple of like stereotypical verticals, but a lot of them are really like strange. Like, people would be like, "You do marketing for what now?" Like, how? And it's so interesting because, I love it because we get to then learn about these things that I wouldn't have otherwise known about.
Yeah.
And then just strategize and kind of puzzle things together for them as far as like, what is your customer journey and how does your sales cycle look and how can we help improve those processes through marketing.
That has to be my favorite part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their sales and marketing, I feel like, are two, outside of being a doctor, I guess, they're two roles where you're constantly learning.
Yeah.
And you have to transform the way you look at everything for every client, because contextualizing best practices is how you're successful. And we get to do that every day, which is awesome.
We do, yeah. Yeah, every week we're talking to like just so many different types of businesses and brands. They're all over the place, and it really is fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming on and joining us today. Please connect with Sneha on LinkedIn, and we'll stay in touch that way. But thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Marketing Chat Room. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.